Welcome to ldsbookreviews.com. My name is Ryan Daly. Back at it today. I've gone through a lot of books this last year and really just wanted to catch up. Today, we are going to discuss Joseph Smith's Uncanonized Revelations. This is edited by Smoot and Passantino. This is published by the Religious Studies Center at BYU. And really what it is, it's a compilation of the uncanonized revelations of Joseph Smith, pretty much compiled through going through the Joseph Smith papers and pulling out all of the additional blessings or revelations that had not been canonized in the Doctrine and Covenants. Some of these were in the Revelations book that might have been crossed out. Some of them were never included. And some of them, for various reasons, just were never put in the Doctrine and Covenants, either in the 1835 edition, 1844, or later, when the later editions started to add a few of his sayings and teachings and sermons of Joseph Smith. Now, the reason why, as you go through the text, it's actually pretty short. There's been a couple of attempts throughout time to be able to do this. Fred Collier tried to do some unpublished revelations and do a few things 20, 30 years ago. And we can talk about that at another time. But what this does is this pretty much compiles all of those ones that hadn't been canonized and puts them in a book. Now, there's various reasons why they weren't canonized. Honestly, many of them are short. They're blessings. They're quick little blurbs. There's a few of them that have maybe some context and some substance to them. And not everything was necessarily revelatory. So it was revelation. It was stated to be revelation, but it might have been a repeat of a blessing that happened before. It also might have been something that just didn't add or contribute any interesting knowledge or insight to theology outside of maybe what that one person was interested in doing. Honestly, I'm going to give this book 3 stars. It's cool to have them all kind of cataloged. The editor notes are awesome, like the context and the history that they add to each one. It's probably more important that they did this and put it together. So they've said that they've done this and put it together and kind of collected them all, so you don't have to scour through the Joseph Smith papers for every little inspired insight that comes out. And so for me, as far as a Latter-day Saint, it's kind of a checkbox that we have those uncanonized revelations all together in something. But as you read through it, you also realize why it's actually not critically important to read. If you're looking for them, it's good to have them in one spot. It's probably good to read through them. I actually think it's for me, it'd be important to read through them so I understand what is in them, what's not in them, and I'm not surprised by anything. After having read through them, I realized I don't need to read through them. They didn't add any significant insight. There's a couple highlights. There's a revelation kind of that sometimes is used in the church about selling the copyright into Canada of the Book of Mormon at one point. That revelation is included with some really great context. Pretty much it was a license that was trying to be sold so it could be published in Canada and continue to grow. And so the context that's given, it's a faithful context and really helps give some insight on that particular revelation. One of my more interesting parts was actually the appendix, where there were a couple uncanonized revelations that were attributed to Joseph, even though they weren't directly ascribed from Joseph. And so a few things Frederick Tree Williams had reported Joseph saying, a few things W.W. Phelps had reported Joseph saying. Those things were interesting, but again, really faithful telling to just kind of highlight how, without the direct source, after, in the case of W.W. Phelps, he's remembering almost 50 years later, 40 years later, and adding context to those things. So again, uncanonized revelations, Joseph Smith's Uncanonized Revelations. I give it 3 stars. If it's something that's interests you and you've wanted to learn more about, it's a quick read, it's short, I'd pick it up. But if it's nothing you've thought about and you don't really care, it's nothing that you need to pick up. I wouldn't necessarily say, let's go rush out and get it. There's nothing sensational. There's nothing new. There's nothing of significance. It's kind of nice just to have it all in one place. It's actually the first time, I will say a few of the highlights is it's the first time that the comment about where Lehi lands is documented, although it's not ascribed to Joseph. It's something Frederick Tree Williams writes and recalls happening. But he talks about the degrees on where in Chile Lehi lands, right? And so that's always a fun one. And there's a few others, but nothing great. So with that, I like to keep these short. Joseph Smith Uncanonized Revelations, 4 stars. Like, subscribe, jump on. I'm going to try to go through and highlight over the last 12 months the books that we've studied and caught back up on over the next little while. And thanks.